Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello and welcome to Game Over Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets have won their 10th game in a row after defeating the San Jose Sharks by a score of 2-1 in overtime. So while we get into this, I need to mute this tab here. There we go. And with the kind of win there, we'll kind of break it down. We'll break down how the game happened. We will break down kind of some ongoing trends throughout the season for the Winnipeg Jets. And we will also kind of be talking about in the third period. I don't know if Ty did this on Saturday. But we'll talk about kind of the Four Nations face-off and how the Winnipeg Jets did there individually. And before we get that, let's shift into Hyperdrive and get ready to have some fun with your new source for all the biggest stories in hockey, bringing a unique style of broadcasting and commentary with a Quebecois flavor. Hyperdrive Hockey combines top-tier hockey analysis, big stories, pop culture, and a damn fun atmosphere that'll drive debate, make you think, and more. Join Max, Daphne, and Kevin every Tuesday and Friday for your fill on the hockey world. Watch on YouTube on the Game Over Network channel. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. You're here watching a live stream on YouTube. You know how to find a podcast on wherever it is. So once again, that's Hyperdrive Hockey. Go there for some great hockey analysis with those guys, with Daphne, Kev, and Max. I read that like every day. I don't know why I stumbled so hard on Max's name. Max, a big Hellbuck truther. So going to this game, the Winnipeg Jets were winning 9. They've won their last 9 in a row. Coming out of the Four Nations face-off, they won the previous 8 before that. The San Jose Sharks won. What was it? They lost the last 5 coming to there. A little bit of a tough go for the San Jose Sharks. And if at any point you're like, man, I would love to get in the conversation. If you look down below here, there is this box where you can see your kind of comments coming in. You can be a part of the show. Come and have your input as well. So this game starts, and I think this San Jose Sharks game really began with Adam Lowry just smoking. Who is that guy? There's so many guys on the San Jose Sharks where I'm like, who are you? And the first one was it Thrum? Number 3 on the San Jose Sharks back end. Adam Lowry just goes and pummels over, just completely drives over that man. Poor guy. And I thought that another thing that kind of aligned with the Winnipeg Jets taking it to them physically is when Mark Scheifele, Carl Grundstrom tries to come up and hit him. Mark Scheifele just sits him down. And it was one of those moments where you think about what a rebuilding team kind of looks like. And I don't think Carl Grundstrom's the youngest guy anymore. He's about 25, 26 or so. But you can see the difference in terms of the veteran Winnipeg Jets and the younger San Jose Sharks. And just in terms of physicality, in terms of how the Winnipeg Jets could kind of throw their body around just a little bit more, and the San Jose Sharks would not be able to catch up with it. And it was kind of like a boys versus men situation in that sense. So as we kind of got through the game, in the first period, some really nice chances. You had that really beautiful pass from Ehlers to Perfetti, really noticing the chemistry between those two players as they kind of had a similar setup last game, just vice versa. And Cole Perfetti just couldn't get it quite in the net. He just took a shot. The Muffin Man took it and just hit it off of Vitek Vanacek's stick. And then I thought something else that I thought was really nice to see is you had that one play where Dylan Samberg just kind of drove down the left wall for the Winnipeg Jets, and he's able to center it for Vlad Nemestikov. And one thing that really worries you about, and I guess it's a good thing, it's a double-edged sword, is if Dylan Samberg is able to add that offensive kind of side to his game as a defenseman, as solid as he's been this year, he's going to cost the Winnipeg Jets just a ton of money. It's going to be pretty brutal in terms of how much that man will cost the Winnipeg Jets. Probably about like $6 million for like 6 years, something like that. Lots of long-term deal, lots of money, you know. And then we kind of get to another point where there's just another real chance for the Winnipeg Jets where Nikolai Ehlers, he makes a beautiful move. He kind of made it the same sort of move that was it Connor McDavid did at the Four Nations faceoff, where he just kind of dragged it through his feet, let the puck kind of carry forward, and is able to get it backhand there, and then he pops it up front. And another thing that you kind of notice in terms of the rebuilding San Jose Sharks compared to a veteran team like the Winnipeg Jets is Cole Perfetti and Nemestikov get how many whacks at this puck? It's like 3, 4, maybe 5, and they're just whacking away, doing their thing, hitting the puck towards Vitek Vanacek, and no San Jose Shark is doing anything about it. But then, is it Landon or Mario Ferraro? I think it's Mario. Mario Ferraro comes in, and he just starts a tussle with Nikolai Ehlers, and we all know, as Winnipeg Jets fan, Nikolai Ehlers will come in. He will just start throwing gloves. He's fought Ryan Getzlaf. He fought Tyson Barrie as well. He will go and fight guys if they come at his players. Something you love from Nikolai Ehlers, someone who has kind of a little bit aura around him in the Winnipeg Jets hemisphere. And then for the only goal that really happened in the first 59 minutes of the game, Adam Lowry has this role where he just kind of drives the net, and he takes this penalty, and it's one of those things where you're seeing this glimpse of a power move by a powerful player, and you look at that and you're like, is there a little bit more? We're going to talk about like Adam Lowry a little bit later, where they tried him at second line center a little bit earlier in the season. I think they should revisit that, because that's another move where you're like, okay, if he's adding these like power tool, drop the shoulder, drive into the net, those offensive pushes into his game, that's something you'd really like to see in a higher kind of role in the lineup with kind of more skilled players, and you'd love to see that. But he takes a penalty on the play. Do I think it was a penalty? No, I think that's just a player driving it down. If anything, he lost his footing because of what the other player did. I understand you do it for safety on a random Monday night game in the middle of the season, but guys, come on. And that leads to a 4-on-3 because of the Ferraro and Ehlers tussle that we mentioned a little bit before. And on this play, really simple stuff from Macklin Celebrini, but just super simple. Just at the point, he's able to drive to the left, really pull the Winnipeg Jets over, kind of get them in their cycle, kind of moving towards, and that really opened up William Eklund, the one-timer goal, the only goal the San Jose Sharks score. And if you are thinking about what you're kind of willing for the Jets kind of do in the playoffs, or what you're kind of willing to be like, ooh, I didn't like that, that's not something I want to see. How many 4-on-3s are there in the playoffs? Probably not too many, so I wouldn't really worry about that. It was a nice shot, and it was the only goal Hellebuyck let in the whole game. So you're almost kind of thinking, not too bad, whatever. We'll just kind of take it as it goes here. And then in going to the second period, and I thought the first half of the second period, the Winnipeg Jets are just missing a lot of that urgency you want to see. And there was even on a beautiful chance from Kyle Connor where he comes into the backhand. You're thinking about where the other players are on the ice. And Mark Scheifele, he did a big wide drive. No one's there. Just kind of didn't really attempt to crash to the middle at all. Gabriel Velarde, the guy who's like used to being in front and scoring goals in the front when he won that big, large goal streak. He got all of them in the middle, all of them in front of the net. He's nowhere to be found. He's on the edge. And Kyle Connor in the kind of like the high slot, able to make that move. But we're not really going to where the goals are being scored in terms of this game here. And then DeMello takes a penalty. He takes one, I believe it was interference, something like that. Again, though, I don't think the refereeing was too great tonight. But then the Winnipeg Jets, they have this really nice push where not Gabriel Velarde, Vladimir Nemestikov goes to the other end of the ice. Jake Wallman just kind of watches him take the puck like he's like a kid on the playground. He's just going to give him his lunch money. Like it's like, oh no, it's 11:30. It's time to give the childhood bully the lunch money. And he just takes it and he makes this really clean, it wasn't really clean, but it was just nice pass to Kyle Connor on the backside. And they just couldn't get it done. It was one of those things where it's like, we didn't really have anything along the ice, so we had to kind of make it high, kind of go for a high sauce. And there was nothing really else we could do on the play. And that's, that's okay. That stuff's going to happen. And then after that play, the Winnipeg Jets had a really great push, like similar to that flurry of chances in the first. They had another flurry of chances where they're just pushing in the zone. And there was a time in this period where you had Cole Perfetti and Ehlers play with Adam Lowry for like, because the Metscov went off for a change, and they generate like 2-3 chances, and it's like, guys, maybe just try it for like half a second. That would be really nice just to see if it works. But with that, they keep pushing, and then Kyle Connor takes a hook. I think that Kyle Connor spent a lot of tonight just with no desire, no urgency in his game, kind of a lot similar to And it kind of encapsulated a lot of stuff where when he didn't really have a desire to like go to the hard areas of the ice at all tonight, and that's not things that are new in Kyle Connor's game. Like sometimes he's not the most physical player, not in the most getting in the corners there, but it just seemed like he was really just facing some adversity. It makes you wonder if he was scratched in that last game for the U.S. at the Four Nations face-off. Maybe he's got something going on, but it's hard to give him the benefit of the doubt when he's not too much in the play at all. Coach Dad says, is it time for the muffin at center with a few games to open up the option of trading for top 6 forward and a winger is the best option? I think, yeah, like I would have liked to see that more in the beginning of the season. We talked about on this show before, like it'd be nice to see Brad Lambert come up and like see if he can do this role. It'd be nice to see if Adam Lowry could come up and do this role, but we're so committed to this idea that we need to win every game, and the best option to win every game, it probably is Vlad Nemeskov at second line center. But what we lose in those opportunities to see if there's growth from these other players, if Adam Lowry can make that next step. And I'd love to see Perfetti there to give another chance. Maybe Perfetti, you get Iafallo up there with him. Iafallo would probably look really good to add some more speed onto the line, add some speed on the wings. But I think it would be really helpful too, because if you look at the center trade options available right now, there's not a lot of centers. It's like Brock Nelson, Yanni Gord was supposed to be one of them, but he's seemingly off the board because he's injured for the rest of the season, I believe. And then it's like Scott Lawton, who as a third line center, they're asking for just everything in the world. And I think that even if you got Adam Lowry to play that second line center, it's a lot easier to acquire a third line center type than a second line center type. So thank you for the comments, Coach Dad. And then the third period, Celebrini takes a penalty, just another soft call. And on the power play, there was just no sauce, just no one going in the middle. And Nikolai Ehlers had a really nice play. Kind of forget, I should have wrote that down. But there's, you're kind of looking for like, where is this spark going to come from the Winnipeg Jets? And I thought a really nice, if we're doing a little highlight, low light, we didn't do that much later now. I think that the Nino Niederreiter was a really nice guy, just stirring the drink in terms of coming in, making nice plays, doing really things. Top 5 takeaways from the Sharks 2-1 over the Jets 2-1 win over the Sharks in overtime. What are the top 5? Okay, let's just rattle off the end of the game. Then we'll try to do this in real time. Thoughts on Connor Hellebuyck? Connor Hellebuyck is the greatest goaltender in the world. SGA Sports Talk channel. It's really hard to not be biased when we watch him every game, but he is just someone who comes in, game out. I don't think the Winnipeg Jets had their fastball tonight. As my mom said, there was no tic-tac-toe, and I think that was really like they're trying to get back into the groove of things coming out of the break. But Connor Hellebuyck didn't miss a beat. 1 goal let in, wasn't even strength. Best goaltender in the world, in my opinion. So yeah, let's kind of like rattle off the next to the game. One thing I found that was really frustrating with the Winnipeg Jets is as they were pushing, trying to tie this game up, and they're just trying to get shots from the point. Colin Miller takes a shot from the point, hits the post. I heard this like quote from the broadcaster, Velarde might sprint over here to cover Connor, and it's like, okay, well, they're just not moving at that pace tonight. Lowry had a nice chance for some Morrissey late, just right in front of the net. I thought that was where it was going to get tied up, and just a bunch of stuff from the points. And from a team where the Sharks coming from Calgary last night, you really want to see the Jets just take advantage of a team not only who are really struggling in their last few games, but also just got to be tired coming off of that game last night and then the travel from Calgary. And then Josh Morrissey comes in. Scheifele comes in, rims it around to Ehlers. Ehlers just takes that short side shot. Who knows what will happen? Puck bounces out to Josh Morrissey, gets it in the net, ties it up. And then in 3-on-3, we have the line of Scheifele, Morrissey, and Connor. They go around. They're just cycling, just tiring them out. Kyle Connor gets off. Nikolai Ehlers comes on. He finally just whips the puck on net. And then Mark Scheifele is able to get the goal that kind of passes him over Ilya Kovalchuk for the top goal scorer in the Winnipeg Jets franchise history. And all right, so let's go to SGA Sports Talks channel question. That's my top 5 takeaways from the Jets 2-1 win over the Sharks in OT. I don't know if I can't put this in any order. Hi, Brendan. Big fan of your channel and make some great content covering the Winnipeg Jets. Thank you, SGA Sports Talk. Really, Sports Talk channel. Really appreciate it. And yeah, let's try to rattle off some top 5 things. I think number 1, the Winnipeg Jets need to find a way to score more goals. They come into this game, they scored 1 in regulation, and it came down to the wire. I think they need to find more ways to score goals, whether that's through a trade, shuffling some things around. They need to find more ways to score goals. Number 2, that top line has kind of been perplexing all season, super hot and super cold. And I think it'd be really nice to, kind of going back to what Coach Dad was saying, like see some different combinations in terms of maybe just the top 6, maybe a lot of other things, just so that we can see what we have here, what we can kind of like mix it up with. Like that top line's we've been throwing out the same combinations. This forward configuration, besides the lack of Morgan Baird from injury, is the same since day 1. And I think that going to the playoffs, like we going to this trade deadline don't know what other possibilities there are just because of the lack of wanting to change. And I think like even on defense, the only person who's really changed is just Logan Stanley got healthy compared to the first game of the season, and Hayden Fleury kind of lost his job because of that. So that's 2. Number 3, I think we can just say Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck can keep you in any game. If you have Connor Hellebuyck in your net, you can win any game, any playoff series. I think that's fair to say. And that's such a big thing to take away from a win against the Sharks. No offense to the Sharks, but it's just they're in that game because their goalie doesn't let in goals, and it's just a matter of fact. Number 4, I'd like to see Adam Lowry get some more opportunities. I think that especially whatever Adam Lowry's line is on, that's the second line. Just the way the ice time works out, that's just the role he has on this team. And I think getting some more offense out of him would be advantageous. And I think number 5, just Mark Scheifele scoring the game-winning goal, like the way he did, kind of taking on the franchise leader in goals. It's just one of those things where when they drafted him in Minnesota in 2011 with the NHL logo on the jersey, you just couldn't really expect any more. You couldn't really ask for anything more out of the guy in that draft pick, especially when they reached for him. Van and San Jose Sharks, and our team is going through a rough patch during the season with a record of 15 wins, 36 losses, with 8 losses in overtime. Yeah, that's a pretty, it's a tough season, but you got a guy like Macklin Celebrini there. Super impressive player. The last time they played him, not the 8-3 game, but the 4-3 win that the Jets had over the Sharks earlier in the season. Super impressive guy, just a super nice guy to have around and build your team around. You can really see how we can kind of carry a team, and there's so much comparisons right now between like Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard, and it's not that I'd rather have one over the other, but it's like they're different players, and it's just the next generation is kind of here, and it's nice, and it's Canadian, and both those, just what a player you get to build around for the next 15 years. Hopefully, if he can stick around, that'd be nice. Okay, let's go into the second period now. And with that, if you're looking for ways to help an upstart media company employing over 30 young journalists and analysts across Canada, if you have a few spare bucks kicking around, you can head over to our Patreon page over at patreon.com/the Game Over Network. There you'll find multiple tiers featuring different awards and goodies for helping us grow. There's extra access, exclusive looks behind the scenes, Discord benefits, merch discounts, opportunities to give us feedback, and you can join us for special shows live where you can interact with hosts and as we launch in more ways to improve your experience. One of those things was we were able to have a stream where you could watch the Four Nations Face-Off Gold Medal game with our founder, Andrew Berkshire. And then if you're not able to spare a few dollars, there's a free tier available if you don't miss out, or if you really want to support us, just easy ways to like and subscribe down on the page here. Any support like it's just free and easy way to support the channel. And then, let's go into the second period. We're going to talk about some Winnipeg Jets things. SGA Sports Talk channel says, I recently went to a San Jose Sharks game and got autographs from Macklin and Wilson. Yeah, that's pretty sick, actually. Like, was it on, did you get it on a jersey or did, any other type of merch, or was like a game program? I met Dale Howardchuk when I was like 14 at a Winnipeg Jets game. I went with my dad and I got an autograph from him, and that's pretty cool. I still have the program from there. Yeah, so one thing we kind of touched on a little earlier that I was going to talk about is just the lack of line changes. The lineup has been kind of the same, and you can see really when, yeah, I really like the Shifley and Hellebuck jerseys hanging in your room. Thanks. We got some other stuff here. I might start rotating these around. I got my line 8 on, but we have a Shifley, we have a Hellebuck, we have a Phil Housley up there too from the 90s, and then we got all other types of merch. We got bobbleheads and Funko Pops and lots of other things. If you are listening to us on the podcast, the visuals in here are quite key. They're quite amazing, quite great to have around. So yeah, with the so here is a question for you, SJA Sports Talk channel. For the San Jose Sharks, they are losing some games here. Might be having some just difficult times. Might be looking to trade some players. If there's anyone that you thought would be like, man, that guy would look good in a Winnipeg Jets jersey, please let us know. They mentioned Ferraro on the broadcast quite a bit tonight. I kind of like that fit as well. Just a guy who could really solidify that bottom pair as opposed to Logan Stanley. Just a guy, good contract, can move the puck and nice defensively. And yeah, so we talked about Lowry at 2C. We talked about the lack of line changes, what that kind of means for the Winnipeg Jets. They don't really know what they don't have because they weren't really moving things around other than a lack of injury. Just when Vladimir Nemestikov was out, that's only really when people were getting a opportunity up in the lineup. And then another thing I think we can talk about is the Vladimir Nemestikov contract. And I think what's really interesting about that, let's kind of slide over here and get over here. How would you like to see Hellebuck workload play out for the remainder of the season, says Coach Dad? I think that with Hellebuck, it's so hard to tell him what to do. But I think you kind of got to sit him down, especially after he played all those at the Four Nations. And you got to think like probably 3 out of every 5 games you probably want to see him just to make sure he has that rest. So how many games they have left? They have about whatchamacallit? They have about 20 games left. They have Tyler Toffoli would look good in a Jets jersey, who's born and raised in Canada. We had him last year. He was a little too slow for our liking, but he was very fun to have. A great goal scorer. Definitely like Tyler Toffoli as a player for sure. And then so they have about 20 games left in the season. If Connor Hellebuck plays about 14, 12, hopefully he can just get that rest. But he seems like a guy who just really is so competitive and really wants to be in the fight all the time, which is that competitiveness is something you don't want to take away from him, but you really got to sit him down and be like, okay, we just can't have any excuses when it comes to the playoffs. And then so with Vladimir Nemestikov, he signed for 2 years, $3 million. And then I think the biggest thing about that contract is Vladimir Nemestikov this year, we see him as a second line center, and he is a guy who you see a lot of versatile. You see a lot of versatile guys coming in and out from the Winnipeg Jets. You see, I think, guys like Matthew Perreault. And I think Nemestikov is kind of the new version of Matthew Perreault in that he can just go up and down the lineup, has a lot of your versatility. Getting a little up there in age, that second year on there might be a little tough. We got Bob Jones. Sharks suck from a sad San Jose Sharks resident. It's like, oh man, that's a little tough. We have good questions coming. Top 5 Winnipeg Jets moment of all time. That's like a video all by itself. Who's your Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets players? We might just do some of these instead. These are fun little topics. But I think just with the Nemestikov contract, let's wrap up what I'm saying here. You have these, there's not a lot of guys signed long term. I think just that flexibility gives you just some cost certainty in terms of what you're doing, in terms of guys who are signed not this year, but also next year. It's or past that season. It's like Nino Niederreiter, Mark Scheifele. Now it's Nemestikov. Just not too many guys signed long term. That will change in the summer when I'm assuming Kyle Connor, they're going to start negotiating with him as soon as they can. They're going to give Gabriel Velarde a big ticket. But I think other than that, that's yeah. They're trying to find more things, and you see them linked to a guy like Mikko Rantanen, and you look at the cap structure right now of the Winnipeg Jets forward, and you're like, okay, if they're able to get him, it's feasible that if they can make that contract work out, you could probably get someone in come in who's signed long-term there. Yeah, so let's go to some of these CJA Sports Talk channel questions because those seem like fun. And you know what? He's being a part of the show, so we're good. Samberg. Samberg? Yeah, Samberg is another guy too. Gilbert Marion, who he's a guy who is going to need a new contract. He's going to cost them a lot of money. It seems like he's going to get like what Pionk's last contract, like 5.875, something really close to that. I would give Samberg that in a heartbeat, and I think that would be really just a really nice contract for a guy who is kind of the last guy the Winnipeg Jets were able to draft and develop. And he is, how old is he? He's a year younger than me. Oh my gosh, he's like 25. So maybe we'd like to see more people come in and be developed. With Samberg is definitely a nice story for the Winnipeg Jets, just developing a true top four defenseman. And between him, Morrissey, and DeMello all being signed long term, hopefully with Dylan Samberg, hopefully they're able to just have a nice stable decor, especially after they reconstructed it after 2019 when Myers, Bufflin, and Trouba all left in the same offseason. All right, you know what? I think CGA Sports Talk channel, let's do the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets players while we're here. I'm not counting Jets 1.0. Offense isn't there. 4.5 to 5 max. I can agree with that. I think with the cap going up, that his agent might be able to kind of negotiate for some more ice time there. But yeah, but I think like if you can get an agent who's like not too key in on the cap, you can kind of get some people, you can kind of get like him signed for long term at that sort of number. You look at what oh my gosh, I'm losing my words today. You look at what Dylan DeMello signed for, and you can definitely see that sort of contract play out for Dylan Samberg. And I think you would kind of up the price a little bit to keep him in Winnipeg and add some more years through his UFA years. You're an inspiration to me because CGA Sports Talk channel says, because I want to start my own San Jose Sharks and keep in my room and just hang up some jerseys. Yeah, man, that's super, super nice. All right. Oh, yeah. So I actually kind of really like that. So let's just do that for the third period. We'll do the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets players. We'll with Mark Scheifele scoring the goal to have him be the top goal scorer in Winnipeg Jets 3.0 history. I've not been keeping up with my lights here. We'll do the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets, and I'm only doing 1.0. I was born in 1998. The Jets were already gone here. But it's the first version. So if you're enjoying the show so far and you probably want more of this, right? Well, make sure you hit the like button below on this video. Click subscribe on our channel and make sure you check the notification bell so you're alerted when we go live. If you're listening to our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating or even write a positive review. If you really like us, make sure to go follow us on your favorite social media platforms. You can find the Game Over Network on Blue Sky at thegameovernetwork.com, on TikTok or on Twitter at the Game Over NHL, on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn at Game Over Network. Yeah, and just make sure to follow us on social media, and you can check whenever. You just check it off whenever. Oh my gosh, you can hear the bells for us on there. You can kind of see after the game when we're posting, when we're going in. But yeah, just make sure you're following us on there, and just again, like and subscribe. Super easy way to support the channel. All right, and we'll go to the third period. Gilbert Marion says he's making less than 2. I don't see a 3 times increase. I think that's fair. But I just think that this guy's agent will. Who is his agent? Let's look this up. I'm doing this. All right, Dylan Samberg. Dylan Samberg agent, and like the reason I care is because so there's just some guys who like Kurt Overhart. You know, Kurt Overhart's a guy where if you want to get out of somewhere, he will get you out. So his name is Pete Rudy, and he has some guys like he's Neil Pionk's agent too. That's really interesting. So that kind of puts a wrinkle in the whole things in terms of negotiating. You gotta think if they're talking to one, they're talking to other. And that's actually his highest paid clients. He also has guys like Cal Peterson, Luke Kunin, Sam Lafferty, and then not a lot of Alex Lyon, Vinny Hinestroza, just a lot of just some depth guys along with Neil Pionk and Cal Peterson. That's an interesting little tidbit there. All right, CJA Sports Talk. My top favorite Sharks of all time, Pavelski. Pavelski's a good one. Marlowe, Meyer, Thornton, and Burns. Matt, I love Timo Meyer. I'm just a big fan. So let's do the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets. So with that, let's start with. Oh my gosh, I'm just writing this down. This is gonna be good. All right, Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets. I'm only doing 2.0 again because I did not have the experience of watching Jets 1.0 growing up. So I think Mount Rushmore, we're not putting these in any order. They're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4 because I didn't prep this segment. So let's start with kind of an easy one. Number 1 is Mark Scheifele. I think Mark Scheifele, in terms of as a player, as he's what he's meant to the city, some of the memories that have kind of been put in this kind of this iteration of the Winnipeg Jets. You think about the goals, like how many goals did he score in that 2018 run? I think did he still set the record for goals on, was it goals on the road for a player in a playoff series? Top goal scorer in the franchise's history, the first ever draft pick. I think you got to say that he is the number 1 player or on the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jet hockey players. For the second person on our Mount Rushmore of the Winnipeg Jets, I think we're going to have to go with Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler came in. He's been gone for 2 seasons now, but he came into the Winnipeg Jets as a franchise. And he didn't have the offensive numbers to be like a top line winger in the league, but he was so good at driving possession. His primary assist rates were just off the charts. Just stuff like passing to the slot, like all these things. Back when he was like first came here, he had this like super power forward build, and he was able to just always just drop his shoulder, go in. You would see this all the time. And as he kind of aged, he kind of transformed from this power forward to this playmaker, and he was able to just throw out like these 90-point seasons as a playmaker. And it's funny because I would say his best season was probably 16-17, right before they kind of crossed that mark and got into the playoffs, and he was scoring 90 points a season. But he became a power play kind of not power play specialist, but his best moments were on the power play, and he would throw up like 40 power play point seasons and like back to back in 2018, 2019. And just the longevity of Blake Wheeler from starting in 2011 all the way up until you can even say like even when he started to kind of go, he still had some great moments here. And he was just awesome. Like and then there's some things in the dressing room. I don't know if that's how we should remember him, but Wheeler had some great years. Gilbert Marion says Wheeler had some great years, but I'm not a fan. I think that's understandable. I think he's going to be kind of a polarizing figure, but I think we can remember him for the Winnipeg Jet he was. And then I think the next one's Dustin Byfuglien. And Dustin Byfuglien, just so impactful in terms of like in those years, those early ones where we're throwing out Ron Hainsey. How many Winnipeg Jets random defensemen can I name? Keaton Ellerby, Randy Jones, Grant Klitzum, Zach Redmond. There's a name. He was just someone out there you could watch every time. Hockey sense off the charts for a guy who didn't seem to really want to be playing hockey for a living, and just as soon as he was done, he was like, okay, I'm just going fishing now. No one understood the role of the blue line, kind of like Dustin Byfuglien, in terms of how he patrolled it, wouldn't let you in. He got caught sometimes because of that understanding, but I also think that Dustin Byfuglien, so polarizing, so good on the power play, played forward defense, like a much better defenseman than a forward, but just someone who was so polarizing. And I think Gilbert's saying it best here. Buff was the best. He's a hockey unicorn, and I just don't think there's anyone like him in terms of what you can bring to a game and how he can just change a game. He scored goals from center ice randomly sometimes. He would just grab 2 guys by the shoulder. There was no aspect of the game in which Dustin Byfuglien did not excel, and it's just crazy. We'll never see that again, and it just what a joy to watch for the how many seasons was he here? Just 7 or 8 seasons that he was here. Just a ridiculous decade in terms of a Winnipeg Jet. And then number 4, it's got to be Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck has got to be the 4th on our Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets. And I just think that for a guy, he's the only Winnipeg Jet who has won an individual trophy. He's won the Vezina twice. He'll probably win a 3rd one this year. I think it's kind of self-explanatory at this point of how good this guy is. He is just the guy, when they scouted him, they were looking at the other goalie, and that kind of happy accident has led to kind of this era of Winnipeg Jets hockey from 2017 to 2025. Like, you go back to that 2018 team, the night one starter was Steve Mason, and Steve Mason was off the team by the next year. Gilbert says best goalie in the world. Absolutely. Like, I don't think there's any, I just don't think there's any like question to that, right? Like the game in, game out performance. He is just an absolute stud of a goalie. And you kind of see him evolve too. Like, he's going from this kind of, he at the beginning he just let pucks hit him. He could kind of get beat that way. When a break would come in on him, he would do the same thing every time, where he'd kind of go down like on his stomach almost and just take away the bottom of the net. He's really evolved in how his game has been played. He was really bad playing the puck early in his career. You saw a little bit of that in the first period. We had a little bit of a jump scare, but he's improved on that. He's always trying to improve, always doing everything he can to kind of develop his. He's just a guy who just does it all, never satisfied with things. Do it in the playoffs, Hall of Famer. Yeah, like it's gonna be hard if he gets a third Vezina to not get him in the Hall of Fame, but I think do it in the playoffs, Hall of Famer yeah, well said. That's kind of all we got to go with off there. All right, let's go to the fourth period here. This is the part of the show where you guys can ask any sort of questions you would like. I'll have to try and go back up because I think I missed some messages here. So I'll kind of go back up here, but I'm gonna do our final ad read, and then we'll kind of go into any questions that we might have throughout the final segment here. So what better way to support something you love than by repping it on yourself? Game Over Winnipeg's apparel line has dropped. Look at these. Look at this mug. I love the mugs. I shamelessly plug the mugs all the time. Game Over Winnipeg's apparel line is dropped with 3 unique lines. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, want to wear your love of goalies proudly with our live or die by the goalie design, or if you just need another coffee to get or a toque to get you through the winter, we have you covered. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Winnipeg while repping your community. Gilbert says, gotta go. First time here. Good luck, kid. Man, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the conversation. Really appreciate you, man. Have a good one. All right. So we are here. We are in the fourth period. Any other questions? SGA Sports Talk said, love all your content. Thank you so much. Great guy. I try my best. You're the OG Winnipeg Jets content creator. Man, we need some more than if I'm the OG. Like, I've been doing this. I think I've been doing this since September. So make sure you're following some other guys. Make sure you're there's other guys out there if you want some more content. So someone else who goes to creative communications with me at that's almost too much information. Someone else who goes to college with me, Zachary Nolan, does a really great job. He actually went to the Four Nations face-off game in Montreal. Super cool. You should go follow him as well as the Top Line podcast with Nick Lynham. He's really good too. All right, and it seems like we don't have any questions here unless I get interrupted. Thank you so much for watching. Our next game will actually be over at the Game Over Ottawa channel. So the Winnipeg Jets are playing against the Senators on Wednesday. So I'll be over there to kind of converse with Mode over there and talk about all of the hockey Ottawa Senators things after the Winnipeg Jets play them, hopefully beat them for their 11th in a row. Thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten this far, man, please just like and subscribe. It's a super easy way to support the channel. And thank you so much again. All right, I love going on other people's channels, showing love and support in the fellow content creators out there. Yeah, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad you could be a part of the show. Definitely helped planning that little segment there. I had other stuff planned, but you just took the ball. If we want to talk about the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg Jets stuff, we can. Yeah, have a good night, man. Appreciate you. All right, and so with that, I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching Game Over Winnipeg, and I will, and yeah, just peace out, Girl Scouts.